Hello, welcome to Aging Well in America. I'm Anne Marie Gattari, your host. Every day, up to 10,000 people in the United States turn 65 years old. Today, there are 5.5 million people who are aged 85 or older. By the year 2050, which is not all that long from now, that number will grow to 20. 20 million people will be older than 85 years old. Are we ready? Is society ready? There's so much good work going on around the world, around the country, and right here in our own community. And we have with us one of the people who is working in that area, Anita Salustro. Anita, did I get your name right? I'm sorry.
Salustro.
Salustro. I am going to read your mini bio that you were so kind to present to me because it really encompasses all that you do in the area of helping seniors and helping them protect their identities, protect their Medicare numbers, and to prevent them from being the victims of any type of fraud, which is what we're going to talk about. Anita Salustro manages the Senior Medicare Patrol for Medicare Medicaid Assistance Program. She develops media campaigns and prevention tactics for Medicare fraud and abuse. Anita's specialty is senior financial exploitation. She led the consumer protection efforts for the AARP of Michigan for over 8 years. She also managed fighter volunteers and created a popular panel presentation about estate planning called No Free Lunch. Her efforts earned her the Frank J. Kelly Award for Consumer Advocacy Award from the State Bar of Michigan. Thank you for joining us and welcome, Anita, to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Medicare is just the word that is probably on the tip of everyone's tongue. Yes. Everyone is talking about Medicare in one way or another. So many great things are offered through Medicare, and with that, of course, comes the potential for, we have to say the ugly word, abuse and fraud. Yes. So give us kind of the high level. If you're over the age of 65 and you're eligible for, is that the right age? 65?
Yes.
For
yes.
Medicare benefits.
Mm-hmm.
You get a phone call from somebody who wants to verify your Medicare
yes.
number for one reason or another.
Yes.
What do you do?
Anne Marie, that is, you've hit the nail on the head with the Medicare fraud and abuse. What is happening to our seniors has to do with telemarketing. They are receiving calls in their home. They are asked to verify their Medicare number. That is the scam. They are being told that new Medicare cards have been printed up and they need those cards to get their Medicare health care, and all they need to do is verify that number and then they will receive their Medicare card. The scam is that people will get out their old Medicare card and tell the scammer that number. Mm-hmm. At that point, they've given away their Medicare number, their Medicare health benefit is compromised, mm-hmm. and they might be jeopardizing their ability to receive their Medicare benefits in the future.
How so?
That's the scam.
How so?
If their Medicare number is sold what I call the black market, mm-hmm. someone else will receive health care, but that person's Medicare account will be billed. Mm-hmm. That is a red flag, mm-hmm. and then their record is compromised and it jeopardizes their ability to receive their Medicare benefit. Because they put a red flag around that Medicare number because they are the victims of Medicare fraud.
Okay. In essence, someone else may be receiving mm-hmm. what mm-hmm. durable medical equipment. Mm-hmm. You've got pamphlets for each of the mm-hmm. Potential problems. Receiving durable medical equipment, which could be a hospital bed if you need it, a wheelchair, mm-hmm. any type of mm-hmm. bath aids. Mm-hmm. If somebody is receiving some of that equipment mm-hmm. on your Medicare number mm-hmm. when you need it.
Exactly. You will not get it.
Because it's already been given to you.
Yes, the wheelchair benefit is a one-time, lifetime benefit. So if your record shows you received a wheelchair even though you didn't, When you really need that wheelchair, you can't. Medicare will not pay for it because you already received it, even though you didn't.
So let's think about this from the scammer's point of view. What is he or she after? Besides that number, of course, and giving, I mean, what's in it for
They
this?
they want that number so that they can sell it. They want to bill you for services that you may or may not have received. They're after Medicare reimbursement.
Medicare reimbursement.
In a nutshell, they're after Medicare reimbursement.
And what is the cost of Medicare?
Nationally, it's 60 billion, estimated 60 billion a year, and that fluctuates. It's been 40 to 80 billion in past years, and now they're saying nationwide, the Medicare coffers are shelling out 60 billion a year to scammers and fraudulent activity.
So if we could just get that 60 billion back into the Medicare
60 billion
fund.
Think of what that would do. Think of what that would do.
It could
It would allow us to receive, higher reimbursement rates. The doctors would receive higher reimbursement rates. Hospitals would receive higher reimbursement.
Yeah, and we wouldn't be maybe not having or at least the discussion that we're having right now wouldn't be at the high pitch that
Absolutely
it is.
true. Absolutely
so
true.
In order to bring that number down for all of us, to protect your own benefits, we really have to be more diligent.
We have to be
with that
diligent.
number.
Absolutely diligent and vigilant.
And vigilant.
And I would say for us, for Medicare beneficiaries, to be very cautious of that telephone. And that telephone it's not always Medicare, but it's any number of telemarketing, fraud. Hello, you've won a free trip. All you have to do is send us a check. There's a lot of telemarketing fraud out there. Unfortunately, it's still happening. Medicare fraud, be very wary about verifying. When you hear the word verify, that's a huge red flag. Medicare will not call you. Medicare has all your information. They're not going to call you. So when you answer the phone and someone wants to verify your Medicare number or your Social Security number or your bank account number, which is another one, hang up.
Hang up.
Hang up. Don't say anything. Don't press 1 to get taken off the list. Nothing. I would say hang up, go to your caller ID, write the number down, and then call us.
And what is the number to call
The number to
you?
call is 1-800-803-7174.
1-800-803-7174. And you also have a website.
We do have a website.
mmapinc.org. MMAP stands for?
Medicare Medicaid Assistance Program.
So this program, let's talk about the program in general now, kind of back into it. It was, tell us a little bit about the history and
Yes.
and what it
The
does.
Michigan Medicare Medicaid Assistance Program is one of 50. There are Medicare counseling programs in every state. They're funded by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, called CMS. And they are kind of a little known secret. They are a wonderful free way to get free counseling about your Medicare or even your Medicaid benefit. So we're real busy around open enrollment season, which runs October through December. People want to sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan. They maybe want to switch their prescription drug plan. They maybe want to enroll. They just turned 65. They want to enroll in a prescription drug plan. We provide that free, unbiased counseling to help them with the confusing myriad of choices for Medicare benefits.
Is the counseling only over the phone, or are there places
You
they
can make
go?
an appointment.
Oh.
You can make an appointment. You call that same number,
Okay.
and you can have face-to-face, one-on-one free counseling anywhere in Michigan.
One of the questions I often get from my clients at Bright Star Home Care is what happens when your Medicare benefits run out if you are in a rehab facility, and because they're often told by the rehab facility, their Medicare benefits will pay for the stay for so many days, and then once they stop, and your private insurance stop, usually it's about the same time. Then if they're going to stay in the facility, then they go into the private pay portion of it. This is a good place for somebody to go to ask about those benefits
Yes.
as well, right? It's not
Yes.
only to report fraud or to ask
Correct.
about fraud, but
Correct. My Senior Medicare Patrol is only a small piece of the larger Medicare Medicaid assistance program. Mostly we counsel on benefits. Your benefit is run out, now what? And long-term care, nursing homes, all of that's done by what we call MAP, the MAP program.
and again, that number, 800-803-7174. 800-803-7174. So I'm assuming there are so-called help agencies that are the fraud, that pretend to be you, pretend to
Absolutely.
be Medicare.
Absolutely there
So
are.
again, how to differentiate.
Absolutely, absolutely. How to know if you receive a call and they're legitimate?
Or,
Is that what you mean?
yeah, or for instance, I mean, we're talking about MAP.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me, but how do we know that?
Mm-hmm.
How would a unsuspecting company or, family know that MAP is indeed part of
Well,
Medicare?
first of all, the first thing to know is that MAP is not going to cold call you and offer services. You would initiate that call. You can verify by going on our website, and you can look us up. You can call SOC, and I don't have SOC's number, but you can call Services for Older Citizens, and you can verify. Maybe that's what what people should do.
Yeah, and
I understand your point. It's a very good question.
And the other thing is to go to, you mentioned Center for Medicare Medicaid Services, CMS. That is the official website for Medicare and Medicaid. And I'm assuming your number and your info is on that site as well.
I mean, that's a very good point, Anne Marie, and what people can do if they don't, they want to check us out, and everyone should be diligent about that. Call 1-800-Medicare.
There you go.
1-800-Medicare is a national clearinghouse, and they will pull up your Medicare record, and they'll tell you all about your Medicare benefit, and they can talk about our program too.
Yeah. Without you providing any information to
Absolutely.
them. You just give them your name.
Absolutely.
They're going to give you, they're going to tell you your Medicare number.
I believe that when you call 1-800-Medicare, you have to tell them your Medicare number. I believe
Okay.
that's.
All right.
I believe that's true.
Maybe you should do it with somebody else in the room or something. Yeah, I guess the point is that this is such a precious benefit that we have.
It is a precious
It's
benefit.
so valuable. And the fact that there are so many scams and unfortunate situations out there with people trying to get something from somebody who has this benefit, that what we really want to do is to let our senior citizens know that there is someone looking out for them.
That is so important.
There is help.
You've hit it right on the head. Yes.
And this is it. And
Yes.
you don't need to just be afraid when the phone rings. You don't need to be afraid when the mail comes. You don't need to be afraid. You just need not to give out information, and you have to
Absolutely.
be ready to hang up the phone.
And I think it's important for caregivers, because caregivers are every bit as much involved in their parents, their loved ones' Medicare benefit. It's important for caregivers to know about these things as things too. And it's also important to, I say, each one teach one. There are seniors right now in Grosse Pointe who are not watching this show, who are home alone, who are isolated, and who do pick up the phone when it rings. So it's important to get to them and help them hang up the phone. It's important to reach out to seniors who may be isolated at home.
We talk about telemarketing and this coming into someone's home through the telephone, but what about through the internet, through the computer? Just yesterday, I got my AARP monthly newsletter, and there's an article on the cover about a new computer system that makes the internet easy to use. The keyboard is easier to use. Everything's easy to see. Of course, we're encouraging seniors to become internet savvy and computer savvy, so they have the social network that comes with that. But with that comes the other side.
Another opportunity to get information from a person. So I think the messages and the cautions are the same. If you receive email from maybe your bank and they say, you know, we need to make important changes to your record, but first we need to verify, you're going to see that verify word pop up. So again, don't give out any personal information over the phone or via email or, God forbid, on a website. It's the same thing. Don't share your personal information unless you have initiated that contact.
Are there 3 or 4 pieces of personal information you would say never give over the phone, never type into an email or a website?
I mean, first of all, I want to say when I initiate a contact, I do business on websites, I buy things online, and if I've initiated, I feel comfortable because I deal with legitimate services.
Right.
I'll go in different catalog services, for instance. But if it's unsolicited, if I haven't initiated it, and people are asking me for my bank account number, my routing number, my social security number, anything, I would say anything, I would not ever give that out over the internet or the phone.
Okay, good.
Red flag.
Good. Very good. This is so important, so relevant. Let's talk about you. How did you get into this? How did you become a patroller and a protector, really, of seniors and their information?
I first got into this at about 2003. I was with AARP in the Lansing office, the state office, and I became the Associate Director for Consumer Protection.
Okay.
There was such a hue and cry about telemarketing and various kinds of fraud that were hitting older people that AARP just had to do something. So we first got involved in this through if you recall, the Federal Trade Commission did the no call.
Yes.
So we were instrumental in passing legislation for the do not call registry.
Yes.
And that just, you know, brought in a dialogue about the telemarketing calls that got me very, very aware that people needed to have some protections about, again, it's the same thing, about their phone and about not divulging their personal information. So at AARP, we had a core of volunteer fraud fighters. We had volunteers throughout the state that were talking to seniors, and sort of we linked with the Attorney General and the state bar and the state regulators to help protect people. We went around the state and helped people understand about free lunch seminars. And the free lunch seminars had to do with, this was massively going on about 7 or 8 years ago, you know, come and learn about your estate planning needs, free lunch or maybe even a free dinner, but it was actually a lure to sell insurance or maybe to sell annuities. So we did a very extensive campaign on helping people understand what they were getting into with these free lunches. And then I worked on various aspects of senior fraud. I worked on annuities, helping people understand what they were, and then moved on to Medicare, Medicaid Assistance Program.
I see.
And I still, you know, the frauds change. For a while, you know, it was people receiving postcards called lead cards in the mail, and they would send them back and put their personal information down. And we all realized, no, we shouldn't do that. So then the telemarketing starts. So we helped with the do not call list and put people's names on that. What happens now? Robocalling.
Yeah.
I know you do, and certainly I do, pretty much all day long receive robocalls.
Yeah.
It's just one, you know.
Well, even the do not call list, it expires after a while?
It doesn't
or-
actually. That's, yeah, people think it does. The
if
do
I'm-
not call doesn't
If
expire.
I'm on a do not call list, why am I getting calls?
Very good. Because it's such a problem, and I think that the robocalling has circumvented the do not call. Somehow they,
Yeah.
you know, now if you got a call from a business and you were on the do not call and you would say to them, don't call me again, I'm going to report you if you call me again.
Okay.
So they got wise to that, so now they're robocalling. So who are you going to report it to and who called you anyway? So
What-
that's another thing.
That's an easy one to hang up on, I mean, I think. But what about, and And this is a harder one. Somebody calling, asking for a donation from, you know, from a legitimate charitable organization.
Charitable organizations are not bound by the restrictions of the do not call list. And I'm so glad you brought this up, Anne Marie, because that's another form of scam, tugging on the heartstrings of older people.
They tug on my heartstrings.
And tugging on the heartstrings of anybody. Everybody wants to do good in the world. Everybody wants to help. So when you've got something like Hurricane Katrina, or you have 9/11, and here come those charitable solicitation calls, so what do? You donate to the legitimate charities. You do not donate on the strength of receiving a call from someone random and you don't know who they are, charity, saying, you know, give us a check and we'll send it to New Orleans.
But if it's the local, and I don't want to name any of our, you know, community institutions, but they do call, right? I mean, we from the arts, from the local law enforcement. I mean, they do call because that's how they do.
Let me touch on law enforcement first.
Yeah.
That is one that they do call, but they're not law enforcement. They're some association that basically is a paid service to raise money for law enforcement.
Correct.
If you want to give to law enforcement, send a check to law enforcement.
So
go to your police station and give them a check, or give a check to the firefighters.
So the friends of, when they call, hang up just as easily.
I would say that. I would say if you want to help your firefighters, send them money. What happens when you give to a boiler room, is the telesolicitors, they call them, the telesolicitors are going to take a portion of that check. You want all your money to go to the firefighters. You don't want 25% of that paid to the people who are calling you.
Right.
That's what I would say about that.
Okay.
And there are legitimate charities, and yes, we do get calls all the time.
I mean,
if I know they're legitimate,
the associations, you know, for the various diseases, and like I said, our arts, are, you know, wonderful arts entities.
And we want to support those agencies. What I do is I don't like giving my credit card number over the phone, even though I know they're legitimate. So I say, I'm happy to give you a check, send me something. Yeah. And then I'll send it to me.
Send me what you have in the mail. You know what, I've actually, some of the responses I've got is, we're trying to cut costs, so we're not mailing anything out. So it's kind of like, you know, it's, here's your chance, now or never. I guess then they get passed up.
They want that credit card number because that can instantly then go on the books. But I always say, you know, I would really love to donate. Please send me something in the mail and I will. So, and I think that's good advice for anybody.
So again, don't do it, no matter how legitimate they are, who's calling. Do not
put it in writing.
Your information. Do not give a credit card number. Do not promise anything over the phone. Have them send something that you can react to. Okay. Okay. So tell us, before you were in Lansing at the AARP, how did this interest, where did this interest come from? How did it?
Before I was in Lansing, I was with AARP's headquarters, and I was in membership communications in Washington, D.C., at the AARP headquarters, and I started to get involved in senior financial exploitation. Because
is finance your background, Anita?
No, my background is in cross-cultural communication.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because I had privy to what our members were writing about in D.C. I was in the membership communications, and this is back in the day of people were writing us letters. You can imagine. Thousands and thousands of letters came in every week.
Yes, yes.
I started to get the passion for education on senior exploitation in D.C.
Okay, all right. Is it, what's the trend? Is it better? Are seniors better educated and better informed because of these campaigns, or is it harder? Is the problem worse, or is it better?
I'd say the problem keeps, as I said, spinning into new forms. So the scammers are very, very clever at understanding what's the next best thing. I think you may have heard about the grandparent scam. Have you heard that one?
Yes.
That's still happening, and it's happening
Yeah,
everywhere.
real quick, we've got a couple of minutes. What is that
real
for our
quick,
viewers?
You get a call, and you're a grandparent, and it's your grandson who's in Canada, but don't tell my mom and dad, I'm in trouble, send me money, wire it to me. And there's a lot of crackling in the background, and you don't really know, and you're thrown off guard, and people are saying, oh, I have to send my grandson money. This is a new one, and this is actually, people are being scammed by it. So I would say, is there a lot of scamming going on? Yes, it's just new iterations of what's happening. We all have to be vigilant.
Even though we are better informed, there is help.
There's help.
A lot
help
of
is on the way.
assistance.
Yes.
But still, like you said, the scammers are staying kind of one step ahead.
They are staying, absolutely
And,
right.
we
They
need
are.
to keep, you know, the other thing I would think is communication among us as well. If you are a senior and you think you gave out some information you shouldn't have, don't be ashamed or afraid.
Very good point.
Call.
Very
tell
good
somebody,
point.
communicate, tell your neighbor.
Very good point.
Call the 800
and
number.
we get those calls a lot by someone who has given out information and then thinks, oh my gosh, what did I just do?
And have
So,
you been able to help undo
yes,
some of this?
we have. We've
Oh, that's
had
wonderful.
people, you know, change their bank accounts, shut down their bank account, shut down their credit cards.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Absolutely
It's
not.
just something
Absolutely
to be
not.
aware of, and let's reach out and ask for help.
Yes.
Again, the information is very important. This is the Medicare, Medicaid Assistance Patrol Program, 1-800-803-7174. 1-800-803-7174. You will get somebody like Anita, who is very well informed and very nice, by the way.
Thank you for having me.
Who
I'm
can
so
help with any of these questions, with issues, with any type of problem that you think you may have endured. Believe it or not, we've come to the end of the half hour.
Well, it went by fast, and
It
I want
does.
to thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome, Anita. I hope you'll come back.
I'd like to.
Well, we have come to the end of another episode of Aging Well in America. Please continue to send us your ideas here at the War Memorial. If you know of an issue that you would like addressed, something that's very cool and helpful going on in the community, please let me know, and we will have that person on and have that discussion. Thank you again, and have a nice day.